Well,
So,
speaking of food, what kind of diet did you go through while going through chemotherapy?
my diet um, was what comprised mainly of whatever the hell people brought me. It was refined uh, throughout the sessions to mostly pasta. Um, a lot of light sauces. There was trail mix, and things like that because trail mix sometimes was the only thing I could keep down. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually asked my doctor about this. He said that's good. Make sure it has almonds. Make sure it has cranberries. Almonds have good proteins and good fats that they help keep you healthy and on your game.
So,
Um,
like, what could you well, could you? Did you prefer to eat other foods like steaks and stuff like that, normal foods, or was that just something you couldn't just bear? It was just something too much
s-
for you to handle.
Steaks were a bit heavy
Mm-hmm.
for the first 4 or 5 days after chemo.
Okay.
Because when you're going through chemo, your stomach has a hard time digesting and retaining and holding.
Right.
So imagine dropping a brick down into your stomach. The first thing your stomach's going to want to do is bring it back up.
Mm-hmm.
Steaks were more of a, okay, I feel good for the next week. I'm going to go
Okay.
splurge.
All right.
Keep it light. Salads, for you meat eaters out there, salads are awesome.
Mm.
Um, you know, customize your salad to whatever's palatable.
Yeah.
If you don't like kale, keep kale out of it. Um, but once again, trail mix. Trail mix will keep the weight on you, and it helps you poop. So nuts and berries are great bulldozers for the intestines, and as mentioned before, pooping is a very, very, very important process.
I bet. Um, you wanted to mention something about potassium. What's the big deal with potassium?
Potassium. Um, this goes back to your body's retention of
Mm-hmm.
things. Potassium is, from what I've heard, one of the harder things for your body to actually absorb and retain.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, bananas aren't actually the best way to get potassium into you. Um, it's things like orange juice, apple juice, some sort of juice, or a smoothie that contains this sort of thing. Potassium is one of the main ingredients for muscle movement.
Yeah.
Um, Now, it doesn't sound like a big thing. Oh, I get a few cramps. No, it gets worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, when I was on chemo, I actually spiked a fever of over 100. And I bit the bullet. I called the girlfriend, and I told her, "Hey, I got to go to the hospital. I got a fever." Um, so when we got to the hospital, after it was actually pretty quick. All they had to do was one blood draw to tell that my potassium was low. By the
Mm-hmm.
time I got to the hospital, I could barely move. Um,
Yeah.
and my body felt miserable. It felt like I had the flu.
Yeah.
It felt like the chemotherapy was resurgent again because chemotherapy feels like the flu times hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, add that to not being able to move, stuck in your brain, barely being able to talk,
Yeah.
and wanting to sleep, but you really can't.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I'm just gonna put in there potassium along with salts are one of the things like built like now I don't want to say building blocks, but a part of like your muscles. You need those materials in your well not materials like vitamins or something of that sort. Whatever a salt is considered, a mineral. Sorry. You need those for your muscles to work properly. And at this time, you've got the flu as well, which with your and like heightened fever, your fever causes cells to get destroyed in that process. And at the same time, you got chemo also doing the same exact thing as the flu's doing. At this point, you probably are malnutritioned,
Hmm.
and it's just that's why you weren't able to move. You
Yeah, they
just.
had me on an IV drip for 3 days. I was barely conscious for 3 days,
Hmm.
and it was bad.
Yeah.
Um, so along those lines, guys and girls, uh, don't be ashamed or scared to ask for help. Um, to the fellow hard asses out there, there's no shame in asking. If you need a ride to the hospital, go. If I hadn't if I hadn't called my girlfriend, I'd be dead right now. That's what the doctor told me.
That's
Six more hours and I would have been dead.
scary.
Um,
That's a scary realization.
yeah. Um, so by all means, ask for help. If you don't have the energy to go to the grocery store, ask for help. Walking is good for you. Um, they actually recommend that you exercise a little bit, not like to Herculean proportions, but walk and stretch. It helps keep your body fit. It helps move the chemo out of your muscles and out of your intestines.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. But if you're not up to it, call somebody for a ride. Ask somebody to bring groceries to you. Ask somebody to bring you yogurt, because yogurt is good for you. A lot of times it's probiotic. Get the yogurt with live cultures. It'll help with, once again, retention,
Hmm.
and it'll keep your hospital visits down. Also, it helps with the poop.
All right. So, in going through all this, obviously you're here talking to me now, and you survived. So, what exactly was it like to go through post chemo? What uh, what was it like after you made it?
Uh, After that very last session, I couldn't wait for the 5 day ticker. Meaning after each chemo session, for a formally healthy person, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 days for you to feel as what I call a person.
Hmm.
You feel like a person. You feel like an actual human being again. Um, so that 5 days was an eternity. Uh, after that, I made one of the biggest mistakes you can. I hit the ground running, and I hit it hard.
Oh, jeez.
Um, you know, and not realizing, or I realized, but I really didn't care because I was free.
Hmm.
But my body was still healing and is still healing. I'm only 6 months free.
Hmm.
So post chemo, take it easy. By all means, go outside and walk. Lift weights as soon as your doctor tells you you can.
Hmm.
But take it easy. Don't go standing out in the hot 120 degree Texas sun, um, because you will be in bed for 2 days after that. Trust me, I know. Um, the but I mean, post chemo, you feel great. It's it. You've got the feeling that you cheated death, and you really have. Well, maybe not
Hmm.
cheated it, but you skirted it for a little while.
Yeah.
Um, but you feel amazing. You feel alive again, and it feels like you feel alive for the very first time in your whole entire life. You appreciate everything. Colors are more vivid. Smells are awesome, and not overbearing, by the way. Um, and everything tastes better. Coffee is amazing. Um, steaks. There's nothing to top it. But once again, you got to watch out. You're still healing. Your liver is still healing. And I'm actually going to pound this point in by explaining that chemotherapy affects your liver to an extreme degree. Some people actually need to get liver transplants after chemotherapy. Um, Now, your liver is what helps is what causes much of your body to heal. Now that your
Hmm.
liver's damaged, other things have to heal the liver. It's a slow process. Um, you're going to get a lot of pains. The rib, just above your liver is going to burn.
Hmm.
Um, You know, it's that's you know, and uh, you're going to get muscle aches and you're going to get headaches because once again, it's a side effect of a damaged liver. Fatigue. Fatigue is the big one. You know, if you feel fatigued, by all means, take a nap. Try to
Yeah.
try to keep your naps down to about an hour and a half, because you don't want to sleep all day. It's not healthy for
Mhm.
you. Um, but if you feel fatigued, eat iron, eat potassium, go outside and walk, go enjoy the sunlight. That's what it's there for.
Mhm.
You know, sunlight helps you live, and it's good for your mind.
Mhm.
Sunlight has, you know, gives you vitamin D,
Mhm.
and vitamin D is essential to your mental well-being.
Yeah, humans are partially photosynthetic.
That's true.
We're ever so slightly like plants, but um, you spoke